The Gitrog Monster versus Omnath, Locus of Mana. I think we can keep that thanks to the Far Seat, couple of lands in hand. And we're on the draw anyway. Crucible of Worlds is nice. That is... yeah, that makes it tempting to go and grab an Azusa. If we get into a fetch of some kind, then we can make better use of Crucible of Worlds along with an Azusa. That would be really good. Card I haven't played in a while, Gitrog Monster, was playing a lot of lands matter decks in Tatyova and Gitrog and Lord Winggrace. Thought I'd just go easy on the lands matter decks for a little bit, but haven't pulled out Gitrog in a while, so I think we can go for a Far Seek here. Yeah, so just decided to get a Gitrog Monster game going and see if any of the newer subscribers are interested in watching him. As a commander, it is a 5 mana Golgari 6/6 Frog Horror with Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, you sack it or a land, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and whenever one or more lands is put into the graveyard from anywhere, you draw a card. Life from the Loam is nice to get into. Yeah, especially with Realms Uncharted. Why don't we just hold up Realms Uncharted, and we can go for Vampiric Shooter if we feel the need. Omnath, Locus of Mana is a 3 mana 1/1. You don't lose unspent mana as steps and phases end, and it gets +1/+1 for each unspent green mana in your mana pool. And we've got a Song of the Dryads with Omnath's name on it, so hopefully they can't give Omnath hexproof. Might have Vines of Vastwood also, although I think they need to put 2 mana into Vines of Vastwood, I can't remember. Now, do we want to grab Azusa? I think, well, we'll go for Realms Uncharted first and see what happens. Realms Uncharted lets us fish 4 lands out of our library, and then our opponent puts 2 of them in our hand, and the others go into the graveyard. But we obviously don't care about that, thanks to our having a Crucible of Worlds in hand. We'll go for the Cabal Coffers and Urborg, and then Maze of Ith might be of some use to us. And we'll grab ourselves a Temple of the False God as well. Won't get Gaia's Cradle because we don't have any creatures in hand. But Temple of the False God will be switched on. That'll be our 5th land if we play it next turn. Alright, so Cabal Coffers and Urborg going into the graveyard. I think I will go for Azusa, because we can get Crucible of Worlds and Azusa out when our turn rolls around, thanks to the Temple of the False God. So there we go, we'll play that. We'll go for the Crucible of Worlds first. And then it is Azusa. Crucible of Worlds allows us to play lands from the graveyard, and Azusa lets us make 2 additional land drops a turn. Now, unfortunately, can't go for Life from the Loam because we don't have access to any green mana, but I think that has been a constructive turn for us. We've grabbed 4 lands out of our deck and put them onto the battlefield, pretty much. Now, we just need to hope that Omnath doesn't gain trample or unblockable and do a lot of commander damage to us. I don't think doubling cube is too worrisome currently. 3 and tap doubles the amount of each type of unspent mana you have. Alright, they've opted not to go with anything. Yeah, so why don't we tap down Cabal Coffers for mana. Then we can go into Zendikar Resurgent. I'm worried about them having some kind of hexproof now. Perhaps should have held off on that plan last turn and gone for the Song of the Dryads while we could. We'll put down a Gitrog Monster. And that will draw us a card on Zendikar Resurgent. Every time we cast a creature spell, we draw a card. Rampaging Baylot is really good, especially if we get into a sack land of some kind. Throw down Maze of Ith. And then we'll try and get Song of the Dryads onto Omnath. See if our opponent has any means of hexproof on that. Nope, apparently not. A quick one. Not sure what I'll do with this. Might just splice it onto the beginning of or the end of another game. Anyway, whatever I decide to do with it, hope you enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching. The Gitrog Monster versus Roon of the Hidden Realm. That's a sketchy and a slow hand. I'm going to try a mulligan. Yeah, that's not superb, but it is better. We can get into something with Expedition Map, maybe. Cross and Grip will come in handy against a Roon opponent, I think. Rather get into some ramp, but Expedition Map will get us into a fourth land, if we don't draw into one naturally, and then we can definitely get into Sky Shroud Claim, get some card draw going with Obnixilis. So let's just hold up Expedition Map, and we'll go over Roon of the Hidden Realm. A 5-mana bank commander, 4/4 with Vigilance and Trample. 2 and tap, exile another target creature and return it to the battlefield under its opponent's control at the beginning of the next end step. So just a flicker / blink effect commander. I think I'm going to go for Ancient Tomb here because that means that we can actually do something on turn 3 in Sky Shroud Claim, get into another land, which I don't mind. And Sky Shroud Claim will get us a couple of untapped forests if we want them to come in untapped, which doesn't actually matter because we don't have anything else to do, so I won't pay to shock in the Overgrown Tomb. And yeah, that's quite a nice tempo play there. We're doing quite nicely now. Problem is our opponent has 2 blue mana held up. I'm going to Harrow first. Yeah, I'm going to Harrow first. I'll actually get rid of that Ancient Tomb because I don't want to be paying lots of mana all the time, and our opponent decided not to counter there. What I would have liked to have done was Gitrog and then Harrow, because Gitrog will see a land going into the bin and we'd draw a card off that, but that's slammed down really quickly. We can play an additional land with Gitrog, so we'll get down our swamp and pass it over to our opponent. Yeah, I was expecting some kind of counterspell there, but it came down really quickly, so I'll just assume that our opponent doesn't have one. We get a Dawn's Reflection on a land, so that's 2 additional mana from this Savannah. Risky putting it on a non-basic, but I don't know how many basics our opponent will run in a 3-colour deck. How about we get rid of a swamp? We'll draw a card from the swamp going into the graveyard, and then I think it's just Obnixilis. Yeah, I've gotten into Maelstrom Pulse and Birds of Paradise. Let's see what else we can draw into with Obnixilis. Okay, Phyrexian Arena, that feels bad not being able to play that. If I hadn't have gotten rid of the Ancient Tomb, then we could have done, but yeah, not to worry. And then swinging with Gitrog. Our opponent is in the colours where they can deal with non-creature permanents, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get the limit break off with Obnixilis. But if we manage to get up to 8 loyalty, target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life, so that'll whittle down our opponent nicely over the course of the game. Still 7 cards in our opponent's hand though, and they have a Deserted Temple, which is 1 and tap to untap a land, goes really well with enchanted lands like Dawn Reflection lands, which is exactly what they're doing to gain some mana. That's a washout from our opponent. Return all permanents of a colour of the chosen type. They chose black, which returns Gitrog and Obnixilis. Let's see, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3. I think Obnixilis and Phyrexian Arena is okay. Let's see if they want to counter the Obnixilis. No, so we'll draw a card before doing anything else. Reclamation Sage is a potential answer. And then Phyrexian Arena is just more card draw for us. Not too worried about getting down Gitrog Monster now that we have all this card draw on the table. Oh, and a Mana Reflection, that's pretty dangerous when our opponent has Deserted Temple and Savannah enchanted by a Dawn's Reflection out in play. And then a Whisperwood Elemental comes down, and I'd really like to get into our Wasteland. If we get into a tutor, then yeah, that'll be what I go for, I think. Yeah, I think I'll just draw a card with Obnixilis. Alright, Acidic Slime is nice. That means that we can get rid of the Savannah. So let's go for that, maybe, and then a Rex Sage onto the Mana Reflection I think is good. Now they can still untap the Bounce Land with the Deserted Temple, but it's better that than the alternative, and we're going to get rid of the Mana Reflection anyway with Reclamation Sage, so it's not as dangerous as it would be. And we'll just leave it at that, pass it over to our opponent, not too worried about the Whisperwood Elemental. By the time they can go wide on us with Manifest Creatures, I think Obnixilis will have gotten off the limit break at this rate. And it was a risky play putting the Dawn's Reflection onto a non-basic because Wasteland can only get rid of non-basics. That's why you tend to enchant basics if you can. And clearly our opponent hasn't drawn into them, so he didn't exactly have much of a choice, but Acidic Slime gets rid of any land anyway, basic or none. So wouldn't have actually made too much of a difference this game either way. Oh, Captain Sisay comes down. Glad that thing doesn't have haste. Captain Sisay is really powerful. Tap and search for a legendary card. Yeah, definitely want to get rid of that. Let's draw with Obnixilis before we decide what to do. Okay, Toxic Deluge. I don't think we need to do just yet. Actually, yeah, not terrible now that I think about it. Because our opponent's going to be going wide on us anyway and can actually get some damage through onto Obnixilis, which I don't want. So now that I think about it, why don't we go for Toxic Deluge for... That'll have to be 4 life. Sacking the Whisperwood Elemental in response. And they do get another creature into play there. Let's go for... Yeah, we'll grab Tireless Tracker. And play a Forest. That will allow us to investigate. And Manifest Creatures, can they be flipped up? Can be turned face up anytime for its mana cost. Yeah, I may regret not using Maelstrom Pulse on that, but I'm just going to leave it there. We can block the Manifest Creature swinging in with Tireless Tracker and buff Tireless Tracker with the sacrifice of a Clue token. I'm not too worried about damage being dealt to Obnixilis here. They might have spot removal for the Tireless Tracker though. Okay, well, can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. There you go. That was definitely worth a Maelstrom Pulse. That's the beauty of face down cards. I'm guessing that's what our opponent's plan is to manifest cards and then flip them up by using flicker effects. We cannot block this, I don't think. Can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Yep, so they're going to deal a hefty wad of damage to Obnixilis. So no limit break for us, apparently. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I think. Alright, Guy's Cradle isn't terrible to get down. Let's tick up with Obnixilis. I mean, Obnixilis is at least card draw, even if we're not getting off the ultimate with him. Let's go Maelstrom Pulse on this thing. And that gets shuffled away. And then we've got 1, 4, 5, 6 mana. I think it's Gitrog time, just to get down the extra land for the turn. It's also a pretty big creature to swing in with. And the more creatures we have, the more mana we get from Gaia's Cradle. We'll use Bojuka Bog to exile our opponent's graveyard. Not sure if they're going to be using their graveyard, but, well, not now they're not, now that we've exiled it. We'll swing in with Tireless Tracker, and I think I'll just hold up Krosan Grip and Entomb. I was thinking if I wanted to Eternal Witness or not for something, but we'll just wait and see what our opponent does first before we decide on that. Worst case scenario, we can wait until the end of the turn and just crack a clue token. Alright, out comes Scavenging Ooze. I don't like Scavenging Ooze being in play. Luckily our opponent is struggling on mana, I think. Yeah, they don't have any green mana available to them, so I think it's a case of sacking a clue token and then entombing for something. Alright, Oracle Mull Diaries, more land drops. We'll go for Entomb. And we'll just get Raven's Crime into the graveyard. We can maybe use that for discarding effects. We'll probably use Eternal Witness to grab back Maelstrom Pulse. And then we can get rid of this Scavenging Ooze. We'll kill the... Oh, see what our opponent's going to do here. Okay, I see, and they're untapping green mana. Alright, and they go for Scavenging Ooze onto the Raven's Crime. That actually worked out nicely for us, because we can't actually use Raven's Crime. I was just trying to optimise my mana there to get something going in the graveyard perhaps, but they use their only green source to get rid of something we don't care about. We'll get rid of a forest here, which will draw us a card on Gitrog. Then we draw another one from Phyrexian Arena. And Crucible of Worlds is really good to get into. That means that we can get the forest straight back out. We'll go for Rampaging Baloths. And we'll try and get some tokens into play to make Guy's Cradle even better. And then we can go for Crucible of Worlds. And that will get us into a swamp, which will get us into even more clue and beast tokens. Let's tick up Obnixilis as well, actually. And Genesis Wave will be huge next turn, so that might be something to aim for. We'll Eternal Witness, grab the Maelstrom Pulse, get rid of the backup notification. And then Maelstrom Pulse the Scavenging Ooze, so we don't need to worry about our graveyard. And we can hold up Vampiric Tutor, just swing in with this stuff. And that is 11 points of damage to our opponent, so they need to wipe the board preferably. Otherwise it's looking like it's lights out for our opponent. Okay, Roon is not going to do it. I was almost hoping for our opponent to wipe the board there so I'd have an excuse to use Genesis Wave, but instead And we'll just get through to combat and swing in with everything. Don't need to drag the game out any longer than we need to. And there we go. Yeah, our opponent said they were mana screwed there. We did notice that they didn't have enough green to get anything going there. They might have been able to do something about us trying to get rid of Scavenging Ooze had they have had more green. But really, they should have used their trick there to wait and see what we were trying to do in the graveyard and then kill the Maelstrom Pulse in response, but I don't think it would have made too much of a difference anyway. We had Song of the Dryads if we were desperate to get rid of it, and we were getting into a Vampiric Tutor for more spot removal if we needed that. So, good game to our opponent. We went out on this one. The Gitrog Monster versus Roon of the Hidden Realm. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.